Hey everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Hawk and Font in the evening. Jeff's back. Jeff, before we get going, why don't you fill everyone in case they didn't listen to Shake Them Ropes, or I think you might have said some stuff in social.
Sure. As some of you know, every 6 months I go in for what's called a cystoscopy. I had been fighting bladder cancer. Update on that. The bladder cancer's back. The first time you hear that you have cancer, it's shocking and the end of the world. The second time you're just like, yeah, I just gotta fight it. The hell with it. Let's see what's up. But I have options. We'll see what happens this time. I have an appointment with the Mayo Clinic if I want it. But when you have a cystoscopy, and fellas, if you want a fun time, go look up what that is.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. It goes in through the outdoor and not the outdoor you want. But you're given medication. And as listeners of this show know, 6 months ago, I had an allergic reaction to one of the medications. And it put me into anaphylaxis, and I had to go to the emergency room. And I had gone there, and they said, well, it's a sulfa allergy. So I go back for my 6-month checkup this time, hoping I don't have cancer, but I do. And the one of the attending nurses goes, well, I have good news and bad news for you, Jeff. You don't take any medications containing sulfa. And I had these drugs. So I've been misdiagnosed, apparently, by the emergency room, which is always nice. But they go, we're not going to give you an antibiotic this time. I'm like, okay, fine. Because you get an antibiotic, and then you get 2 pills, which are 100 milligrams of a drug called Pyridium. And what Pyridium it's a UTI drug. It turns your pee orange, and it doesn't make you feel like you're peeing razor blades for a long time. Basically, it helps heal the inside of the urinary tract there.
I get that when I drink Kool-Aid, but without the razor blade.
Yes, but what they decide, okay, at first they say we're not going to give you any drugs. And then they decide, no, we're going to give you the Pyridium. That was probably the antibiotic that did it. So I take the Pyridium and I leave. I'm being picked up. I get picked up. I go and I start to itch a little.
Uh-oh.
I'm like, oh no. Because what happened last time was I got all these hives and my skin started to burn, and I went into anaphylactic shock, and I got numb and stuff like that. So I call the person who dropped me off immediately. I go, I think I need you to come back here. I have my epidermal, which I got last time. I'm like, we need to go to an urgent care and monitor myself. That's all I want. I don't want to go to an emergency room. I don't want to do that. But or I just want to sit here and whatever. And then I started to turn red and swell up.
Oh.
And then we got to urgent care, and I'm in the back, and they take my blood pressure, and then I start to fade. And so I get another ambulance ride for 3 blocks, which will cost me $4,000, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh.
Yeah. And as you recall last week, Paul, it was a bit windy out here, and fires were all over the place.
Yeah.
So the emergency rooms were a little bit busy.
And I'm sure people might have been wondering, like, oh, is that what's going on with Jeff?
Yeah, no, I'm safe from the fires, but I was not safe from having to be dragged into an emergency room in the middle of
now in all of this, I'm just trying to diagnose as an internet doctor. Did you have any contact with MJF's mother?
Well, she's in Canada, isn't she?
Oh, no. That's Alicia Tout he was talking about.
Oh, that's his old lady.
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah.
No, I did not.
Okay. So it's not that. We can cross that off.
But it's funny that nobody ever bothered to look up symptoms for Pyridium allergies.
Yeah. Well.
Which, after saying, oh, I have all these allergies the last 2 times, nobody bothered to do that. And it's like, they're going, well, now at least we know. I'm like,
till next time.
I'm like, yeah, that's great. You gonna help pay for this since none of you bothered to actually look up anything? They tell you, if you have any symptoms, call the doctor's office. I have these symptoms. I called the doctor's office. Oh, that's real weird.
Yeah. So let me look up.
If there's any personal injury attorneys that may want to work on consignment,
yeah, there you go.
Give me a call.
But other than all that, and obviously probably mentally you're not doing great because you're worried, but physically, okay?
I had a night last week where I really had a bad night mentally, but now I'm like, look, it's non-invasive still. It's going to be a matter of scraping it out again and filling it up with basic tuberculosis. It's early. I'm monitoring it. I'm not as worried, but
Good.
I'm scared, but and also, I'm a guy of faith like you.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional.
Yeah,
And,
I gotta go. I gotta get myself checked out more regularly because
but it's one of those things where it's like, look, man, we're gonna die eventually. And the first time was bad. This time it's like, look, I know how to deal with it. We'll see what happens, and I'm not going to worry about it until there's something to worry about. If it gets to be stage 3 or something again, then I'm going to be worried about. But right now, it is. Look, it sucks, but I've seen no proof that it's spread to anywhere outside of the bladder. It seems to be fairly superficial.
Okay.
Right now I'm going on optimism. So I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers and all that other stuff. Let's talk this AEW show.
Yeah, you got a lot of people pulling for you. So yeah, let's get to this. And they did their best to try to make you forget about your problems, and they showed you a lot of their own. I liked most of the show tonight, and we'll get into it. It was an interesting week.
Do we want to start with the main event this week?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk. Let's change up because in our Discord, Fight Game Media Discord, you can get in if you're not already by sending Garrett an email, gg@fightgamemedia.com. There's some disagreement on. Let's put aside whether or not the match was any good. We'll talk about that. But I mean, kind of what we're going to talk about is going to play into how the match was or how it felt watching it anyways.
Let's start with this, Paul.
Yeah.
Going into this Dynamite this week and into this main event.
Yeah.
What do you think they wanted to do with Powerhouse Hobbs after this main event?
What did they want to do after? Well,
what do you think the point of this match for Powerhouse Hobbs was supposed to be? Was it supposed to be to elevate into a main event spot, or just to make him look good going into this 12-man tag on Collision?
Well, yeah, and I was going to give a cheeky answer and say, well, what they're going to do next with him is put him in a 12-man tag on Collision, where he'll probably get a pin over Wheeler Yuta or something.
He'll probably pin Wheeler Yuta or Claudio. But seriously, in a vacuum, you're plotting out this show.
Yeah.
And you're saying, okay, our main event is Moxley versus Hobbs. What is the story we want to tell here with Hobbs?
Well, I think, in terms of Moxley, I believe that it was Moxley's intention to get Hobbs over as strong as he could, while keeping in mind the fact that he wasn't going to lose the title to him. So, and I also know from talking to people that know him, he's not a big fan of DQ finishes either. So he wouldn't have wanted Hobbs to win by DQ.
All right, fine. Let's end it right there then.
Okay.
We go from Collision where Hobbs is just a absolute monster.
Oh, unbelievable.
Going into Wednesday.
Yeah. I love that show on Saturday.
And we're gonna do a match here, but we don't want the DQ finish. Okay, fine. But we need to keep the aura of Hobbs here. And what do we have Hobbs do? We have Hobbs looking over his shoulder. We have Hobbs very nervous around here. We have Hobbs taking shots from every single Death Rider. We have a match, and this is the big problem for me. Hobbs comes in and does this match, and he should be Vader, right? He should be Vader. He should be killing guys. He should be the toughest dude on the block after that Saturday Collision.
Mm-hmm.
Moxley is never. The story of this match was Moxley is a resilient champion who can take a lot of damage and is never in any harm and is never in any danger. And when he gets hit by a big giant like Hobbs,
Well,
he stumbles around a little bit and comes back. He can bleed, he can take a beating, and he can come back and he can beat Hobbs. That's the story of this match.
I think the idea was
Yes.
that they also had the Death Riders interfering, and Hobbs managed to overcome that and almost beat Mox.
That's horseshit. He never
Yes,
almost
it
beat
is.
Mox.
That is horseshit, but that was the idea.
Yes, the
I
idea
don't
was
think
that,
it-
but they should have never
Right,
done that. They should
right,
have
yeah.
thrown out the Death Riders. Because
Yes.
God knows we don't need Marina Shafir getting heat on
Why-
Hobbs.
Why? Okay, and here's another one. We ended off with that angle on Saturday, right? You had all the guys in the ring that are going to be in this 12-man tag on Saturday. I thought that was great. Where the hell were those guys tonight?
Yes.
Like I made the comment on X. Were they in Asheville when this beatdown started, and that's why it took them so long to get to the ring? They took their time Pillmanizing Hobbs's thing, and they hit it. Where the hell was Cope and FTR? Like, they were clearly there. I think they were in their gear. Like,
was Moxley ever frightened by Hobbs and the amount of beating he was taking?
Well, I don't.
Was he ever
even when Hobbs was biting his ear? I don't think he cared all that much.
Was he ever crawling because of the amount of damage he was taking and just trying to struggle to stay alive against Hobbs? No. And you know what? If you don't want to do a DQ finish, I am fine with that. You know what else you have in your back pocket? A count out finish.
Yeah, you could have done that. You could have just had a no contest. You could have had like the guys, interfering, and then you get Cope and FTR in, and then they're all just brawling, and then Hobbs just goes on a rampage and starts spine busting everyone.
Your thing is mamby-pamby. You're trying to get around the DQ by then calling it a no contest.
Yeah, whatever. Like I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I think they booked themselves into a corner a bit.
They didn't book themselves into a corner. They didn't think about this. That's the problem here.
I mean, what I would have done is I would have had Hobbs beat him for the title. But
I don't do that either. Okay,
yeah,
but let me put it this way. If I'm booking Hobbs to be a credible threat for the rest of this year, let's say, because I agree with the comment you'll see in 6 weeks when he's forgotten about, because he is.
Can we cut that down to like 2?
Yes, exactly. Because we can't have Hobbs look because this is probably the chatter in somebody's brain back there.
Yeah.
We can't have him look too strong because Copeland is the number one contender. We don't want to have any issue, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and then we got MJF, and we got Jeff Jarrett, and we got Hangman Page, and Hobbs will get his time.
Yeah, he just needs to wait. He's in his mid to late 30s right now. He'll have his time. No. This guy, this is the Wardlow problem. This guy will never be able to be heated up like he was in these past 2 shows, I don't think, anymore, without a major overhaul.
I mean, they're going to try on Saturday, and he's probably going to look great. And a lot of people are going to be excited about him again after, he mows through the Death Riders and pins Wheeler. That's what I'm calling right now. He's not going to pin Claudio or Pac. Come on.
He may do that, but it's gonna be he's gonna have powered through all this, and then the Outrunners are gonna be doing their twirly thing around there for laughs and stuff, and you're just like, all right, fine. Everybody goes home happy with a participation trophy.
Truth Magnum, I think it's Truth, or is it Turbo that does the body slams? He'll be body slamming all the Death Riders and all the Learning Tree, and everyone will go nuts, and then Hobbs will give them all spine busters. Actually, no, he's gonna pin Brian Keith.
In the world of serious wrestling, so to speak, if you want to make a guy, I can book this match 100 times better. Make Hobbs look good. Don't give him the title. Make Moxley show a little ass, because that's what I don't need Moxley to be the baddest guy on the block as a heel. I don't. But he's bleeding all over himself. This is making Hobbs look good. No, it's not, because the blood's not doing anything. This was a CZW House of Hardcore match type of thing, where it's like no matter how much damage he's taking, he's still look how much of a badass Moxley is right now. We didn't need that right now. We needed Moxley to think, oh crap, Hobbs may beat me in my hometown. And we did. It's that simple.
That was the thing that
It's
hit me
that
too.
simple, Paul.
When you talked about the hometown, because I was excited about this match, and I kind of in the back of my mind, I guess I kind of forgot that it was in Cincinnati. So it wasn't until Mox came out for the match, and he's wearing a Cincy sweatshirt, just in case you forgot that he was from Cincinnati. You know, like
he,
in case
cut a promo on Cincy and said that they're terrible and he hates them as their hometown.
No, he was sucking up because he knew they were going to cheer for him. But it was so weird because they were cheering for Mox, but they weren't really against Hobbs. And anytime Mox's friends got involved, they booed them. So it was like the only person in this match they cared about and liked was Mox. They didn't really care about Hobbs, and they didn't like the rest of the Death Riders.
And the cheating by the Death Riders made Hobbs look weak. I'm sorry. I mean, the moment Marina hits him with a briefcase, he should go out there, take that briefcase, and just shove it down her throat or something. Yeah. I mean, just kill these dudes.
Grab it, throw it up the ramp or something, right?
Yes, just murder death these guys again.
Yeah, and then and then maybe like I was just picturing in my mind, maybe you have him, he gets like he's just running wild. Mox hits his finishers, he's kicking out. Then finally he hits one, and he's got the 3. And then like maybe Claudio pulls a ref out of the ring or something like that, and he's about to DQ, and then Hobbs is like, no, like you're not DQing him. And then he hits him again, and then. And I don't know how they get out of it. Like they get out of it somehow, I guess.
The count out works to me. I know that Tony hates that. If you don't want, I don't want to waste precious DQs on actually building a guy. Okay, fine.
Well, then you know what? Don't do it in the Christian Hook match.
Yes.
Like which one's more important? Like, like Chris should just beat him, and then whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, don't book. Don't book 2 matches full of like heel stables hanging. Actually, there were 3 if you count the Callis family
and the Hurt Syndicate.
And the Hurt Syndicate. No, the Hurt Syndicate was a 6-man. I'll forgive that one.
Yeah. So that was interesting. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the end, but we won't talk too much about it because we talked about it a lot here.
But he's dead. He's absolutely dead. Yes.
Kind of. Yeah. But I mean, what was he gonna be? Realistically,
you can make him whatever you want when he's at his peak.
Was Saturday his peak?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the sad thing. Reminded me of just a little bit. Now, obviously, the
it's pro wrestling.
The experiences are very different.
A star. That's just
well. Here's another part of the issue. They nailed it on Saturday, right? With this angle, it was awesome. But the build up to it. Like what Hobbs should have been squashing dudes for the last 3 months.
No, I will agree with the care
like,
in that is cool.
Yeah.
And Paul, I'm gonna say this, and I know
they need squash matches.
Yes, we need squash matches. They still have that corner of their eye on what's the star rating gonna be on this match.
Well, it wasn't great. I rate them all, and I mean, it might have been the best match of the night.
But you know what I'm saying? That fan who goes, well, Hobbs isn't exactly a good worker like the people in Japan are.
Well, you know what else I heard? You can't belt Hobbs because what? You're going to headline a pay-per-view with Will Hobbs against whatever. Like
Paul, you are in a building of 1,500 and change. You ain't drawing a lot of people in any other.
No, and not only that. Okay, so what? So if they headline with Mox and Cope, it's going to do what? 110,000 buys. And if you headline with Hobbs and Mox, let's say in a rematch, is it going to do what? 90 maybe? So you're costing yourself 20,000 buys. That is roughly, I think it's about $100,000. In maybe it might even be. No, 20,000 times 50. No, it's $1 million.
I know
it's $1 million in bites. They make $185 million on TV. $1 million is nothing to them.
Yeah, I know Hobbs is NorCal, but you have this show scheduled for the beginning of for March in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah,
at Crypto, which is 15,000, and you're barely getting 1,500 in Cincinnati.
And that's gonna be Mox and Cope, that show.
Is it, or is that going to be Australia?
No, Australia I don't think is a pay-per-view. I have a feeling Australia might end up being Collision. They haven't announced anything yet, but it's on a Saturday. Well, Sunday in Australia, Saturday here. I feel like it's going to just be like a late night Collision that, you can watch live if you want, but it'll be on demand the next day if you want to watch it on Sunday. They haven't said anything, so I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. But I guess we'll find out soon, probably, right? The thing's happening in like 4 weeks.
You know what's going to happen is they're going to do like a 2-person squash on Collision in 2 weeks to try and rebuild Hobbs, and it's not. And then we're going to have like some middling feud with Brian Cage or something,
or Daniel Garcia or something. Yeah.
Oh, they're going to turn him heel again?
No. Daniel Garcia only fights baby faces, in case you haven't noticed. And people that he's friends with and teams with. No, it's Roddy is the next challenger, I'm pretty sure.
Oh God.
Although I don't think Roddy's a babyface. There's no way those Undisputed Kingdom guys are baby faces, right? Like somebody's shitting me on this one. I can say that was another thing. The word of the day is shit. Did you catch how many times they said it today?
Yes.
At least like 7. They're like a 6-year-old who
it's like they have you remember how they had the Jericho punch card of swears or in the early days? It's like that. That's been like
they've been saving them up for 6 months. They haven't said it. So now it's like, shit, we missed our last half of 2024. So we had to get all the shits out of the way here. And most of them were unnecessary.
If everybody does the main event swear word, then everybody's main eventers.
The main event swear word.
I'm just mad about that Will Hobbs match. I just can't believe they missed so badly on what the story they needed to tell there was, and Moxley should know better. And I like Jon Moxley.
You know what? Moxley should know better, but actually not quite sure he does.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. 1,566 tickets sold as of a couple hours before the show. You said only 1,500. I mean, they were 7 tickets shy of a sellout. So, I mean, it was a small building, and
but this was the one they moved to Cincinnati from Northern Kentucky.
Yeah, that's true. But in that said, I mean, this is the kind of buildings they should be running. If you can get a
show, Sean Ross Sapp in attendance, by the way.
Oh, nice. I didn't see him in the crowd. I think I might have saw George Mazanin, but I'm not positive. So I think they sold out. And that's the kind of buildings they should be running, because
it's an interesting building as long as you don't look up in the rafters.
Yeah, that was weird, because there was one shot where it looked like they were full, and then when it was like the side that was opposite the ramp, that side was almost empty in the rafters, and it's like, well, couldn't they have sold more? Like they said they were sold out, but maybe those people, maybe they were comps and the people didn't show up. I don't know.
No, I am most assuredly pro book interesting buildings.
Yeah, and it looked good. It looked good on TV.
Yeah.
When they were hot, it sounded good. At times they weren't hot, so then you could have like 2 people do a chant, and it kind of didn't sound great. So but for the most part, I thought they were good. Second week in a row, we didn't get the Pointer Sisters, so I think Tony listened to the Twitter timeline and decided that was a bad plan.
Okay, good, because I was like, I'm ready for I'm so excited, and I didn't get it. I was like, this is now 2 weeks in a row.
But Excalibur said the show's essentially a pay-per-view. Taz was back, and thank God for that. Like, I'm not the biggest Taz fan in the world, but he's a million times better than what we got last week.
Yes.
Shivani's back too. They ran down the show. It's Maximum Carnage, which I forgot about. Like, when I sent the preview notes to Garrett, I completely forgot about Hook versus Christian, and I completely forgot that this was Maximum Carnage, which apparently is supposed to be a big deal. But they showed a video package for all the matches, and it was freaking awesome. What?
Paul, did you get the maximum amount of carnage you thought you could get?
No.
Is this truly a man who has all he can eat?
It was like 60% carnage. But
yes, the video package was awesome.
Yes, like really, really good, and they need to do this every week, because they caught people up. There was some conjecture on the F4W board. I don't know if you caught the Brian and Vinny show on Sunday. Vinny made a mention of Garcia and his random title defenses, and then he's like, well, Mark Briscoe beat him in the Continental Classic. Shouldn't he get a title match? And then it was like nobody corrected him. Meanwhile, I'm listening and I'm like, wait a second. I'm pretty sure Mark Briscoe did get a title match, and he had the week before.
Yes.
But Vinny didn't watch the show. And then he's like, well, they should have told us. Well, apparently they did. Like they did mention it during the entrances. And then it's like, and then Vinny's like flat out. He's like, I'll be honest with you. Like I zone out a lot during these shows.
You have to.
Yeah. Like
there's
I'm taking
just
notes,
so much wrestling on that you zone out. Like I forget what happens on a random Saturday if I'm watching, say, the playoffs, like Vinny does for his job, et cetera, et cetera.
I think his job is actually F4W now, but
it is.
Yeah,
you're correct.
But no. So I mean, there was a big thing or whatever, and you know, like the people were right. Like they did say something, but you know, you might have missed it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But they often don't. And here, this is perfect. Like the beginning of the show is when you actually have your maximum audience. So you catch them up with the important storylines. You tell them what's coming up. You tell them what's coming up.
Set the table for us. That's all I want in a wrestling show. For
what was it? Like, because I normally skip this stuff and I watched it because I just wanted to see what they were going to do and what they were going to say. And it was like a minute. Like that's all you need. A minute of
fans.
Video.
Welcome to World Championship Wrestling tonight. You're going to see
it's actually
Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, the Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant, and in your main event, Brad Armstrong versus Nelson Royal or whatever the hell.
And here's why. Here's why. Kenny Omega's wrestling Brian Cage because Brian Cage attacked him last week and went after his gut. We got this women's casino gauntlet. Last week, we saw Statlander win a match to get the number 1 spot. We got Hobbs coming off last week's casino gauntlet. You know, he's getting a world title match. And look what he did on Collision on Friday. I was amazed. They showed Collision highlights on Dynamite.
I wanted a Hobbs promo at the top of the show just to set that table.
He did a promo.
They did the video promo. Yeah, I meant a live one.
They had to bleep him.
Yeah,
I think he told Moxley he was going to fuck him up.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so yeah, good for him. So that led into Brian Cage and Kenny Omega, and so this was Kenny Omega's first match back.
Yes,
Gabe Kidd at the Tokyo Dome. This was not. But
let's stop right here just for a moment, for a moment, because
I think I know where you're going, and I feel like I'm going to disagree. But go ahead.
I don't know if you are or not.
Okay.
But I'm into the aesthetics of professional wrestling.
Okay.
This song and this entrance are not what Kenny Omega need.
No, you're right. You're right.
Kenny Omega, look. I hate to tell people who don't like Stamford that things need to be a little bit more Stamfordy, but I'm going to here. I need to immediately recognize Kenny Omega's music. Or his Titantron or Jumbotron or whatever. I need the people in that audience to know the main guy or one of the 2 or 3 main guys of this company is coming and it's time to be excited. I need it to be a little bit brighter if he's going to be a baby face. This is dark, moody. This is emo Kenny. And I don't want emo Kenny. I want star of my frigging wrestling promotion, Kenny Omega. And I wanted a little,
You know what I would do? I would have Tony pay for this for his music. Not this, but you know that opening of that song. Never mind. You know it's the Alan Parsons Project.
Alan Parsons Project Serious.
That should be his theme song. Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
This one, this
because you were playing the. I know what you were playing. You're playing the bridge into Eye in the Sky.
Yeah, this one. This would be good
for the one that the Bulls used.
Yes,
and they actually stole it from the Phoenix Suns.
This one, right?
To be honest with you,
this would be perfect for Kenny Omega. They used it once, if you remember. It was when they did that Elite, when they were all dressed up.
Yeah, when they did the NBA stuff, because they were glomming the early '90s Bulls.
But with that, and then you do the Justin Roberts intro with the North Carolina crap. Like that would be great.
Well, you know who else it worked for? It worked for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they're similar, like in a way, like they've got similar appeal. And Kenny's a much better promo and better wrestler too. I like this match, like in the sense, like I'm not even talking about the match itself, but I like this as his first match.
It's fine as his first match.
I heard people upset because, like, oh, Brian Cage, blah, blah, blah. No emotion. All he does is try and get his shit in. I didn't think he did that here. I thought it was like your classic big man, little man match. Brian Cage just beating the shit out of him. Like he wasn't doing all his moves.
This was not a Brian Cage PWG match.
No, this was a Vince McMahon monster beating the babyface match.
This was a Kenny's fighting this stable, and this is the first guy in the stable match.
Yeah, and it was good. And Brian Cage took most of the match, and then Kenny hit Cage with a springboard powerbomb and a V trigger for 2, hit a high knee, another big V trigger, then the one-winged angel, and got the pin. Clean pin. Really, really good match. He sold the stomach through most of it. All of Cage's offense was focused on his stomach. He dumped him on the announce table at one point. He was kicking him in the gut. Callis was on commentary, and it was
almost like Brian Cage was channeling Ole Anderson a bit. I kind of dug it.
Yeah. And he's got a bit of a different look as well. Like he's growing his hair out, but he's got the bald spot in the back. And like he's probably.
Man, I ain't gonna make fun of a brother for going bald. You know that.
No, I know, but I'm not making fun. I'm just pointing out what happened. It doesn't matter to me. So I thought it was really good. And then after the match, Kyle Fletcher comes down, and then Lance Archer had been at ringside, so he jumps in, and they're 3-on-1 on Kenny, and Fletcher's working over his gut. Fans start chanting for Ospreay, so he shows up a lot quicker than Cope and his buddies, as would happen later. And they cleared the ring, and then out comes Takeshita, and he holds up his belt, and then they start brawling, and then Fletcher comes back in, and eventually the heels get the better of them, and they leave him laying, and
Tony Schiavone says, "Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega standing tall."
No, I wrote down his statement that they went to break with, which I had to rewind it to make sure I heard it right.
Okay,
but
tell me
yeah. So I'll get there.
Well, okay, I'll go over this part. I think they did the order wrong of people running in.
Yes.
I think Takeshita should have come in before Kyle Fletcher. If Kyle Fletcher is the protostar and the head, quote unquote, of the Callis family, I think Fletcher has to come in last.
I think the Grand Slam match, my feeling is the Grand Slam match is going to be a tag match, and it's going to be Kenny and Will against Takeshita and Fletcher.
I think you're right.
And I think Fletcher gets the pin over Omega in that match.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're in Australia.
So what was the statement that took us into break?
So Tony Schiavone says, as Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega are basically beaten in the ring and just looking at each other, Tony Schiavone says, and I quote, "Successful return for Kenny Omega with the international champion standing tall, Will Ospreay." Okay, number 1, they weren't standing tall. Number 2, Excalibur had just called Kenny's win a Pyrrhic victory.
What are we doing?
Number 3, Konosuke Takeshita is the international champion, not Will Ospreay.
Yes.
And no one corrected him, and we went to a video package.
And I just have Tony as my other partner, Chris Novembrino, says, Harpo Marx, Tony Khan, sitting there smiling like Ed Wood in Ed Wood, like Johnny Depp going, "Cut, great, moving on."
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, because he probably will be the international champion when it's all said and done. So we got this MVP promo, which he had aired on social media earlier, and it's great because you know what? It's funny. I never watch these social media promos, but I actually watched this one because someone posted in the Discord, and it was great. And then they put it on TV. Like,
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
baby steps, everybody.
Yeah,
baby
it was just MVP, building up his return. Now, I will say, they kept saying Hurt Syndicate with MVP. Hurt Syndicate with MVP. That's what they were promoting it as. And in the graphic, you saw Hurt Syndicate with no names, and you had Lashley and Benjamin in the front, and then you had MVP in a suit in the back. I was fully convinced it was going to be Lashley, Shelton, and then someone else, like a new member of the Hurt Syndicate, and MVP wasn't actually going to be wrestling. But that's not what happened.
I think this is just to kind of separate that MVP is not a full-time member of the Hurt Syndicate, so to speak.
Well, he is, but he's just not a full-time wrestler.
He's not a full-time wrestler. Yeah, MVP's great.
Yeah.
MVP. I wanted the inflatable tunnel one more time because that is my favorite WWE entrance. Possibly is the MVP entrance with 369 or 36 Mafia doing their thing. I will say this: if we're going to play the game of the aging manager coming in there and still kind of having a little bit of it, we need to kind of do it the JJ Dillon is training for War Games way, where he's not really a great wrestler, but he's hitting different finishers and stuff on jobbers and not necessarily guys that you want to build. Silk the Shocker. Thank you. Sorry, Curryhead.
And then you get Shelton like, pumping him up like, oh yeah, he's great, you're awesome,
yes,
keep it up, meanwhile, like, everyone thinks, oh yeah, he's got nothing.
But a black and gold Hurt Business inflatable tunnel, I would have been here for that. But I love MVP.
We're a little ahead of ourselves because they did say after this video package coming up next, we're going to see the Hurt Syndicate with MVP making his return to the ring. So they actually did say that against Private Party and Mark Briscoe.
I like that they put his boots on the bar.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I want to know what Shelton was drinking because I don't think it was alcoholic. I think what MVP
no, that brother doesn't drink alcohol.
MVP had an alcoholic beverage. I believe that Shelton had a that's not a highball glass. I don't know what that's called, but I think it might be like a Shirley Temple or a soda in it.
Hey, you know what? He can drink whatever he wants. He's
dude, he looks spectacular. Yeah. I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, so they say that this is coming up next, but they come back from break, and it's the New York Minute with Chris Jericho, and so that's back. He calls Ohio the Bluegrass State. He said that he's putting over this 12-man tag on Collision, and it's such a great control job because if you haven't been following AEW's Twitter account, they announced this match, and diehard AEW fans are shitting on this match. They hate this. And meanwhile, I watched Collision. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. The match could be great. And so Jericho here is playing off this. This is the most anticipated match in Collision history. I mean, we've had world title matches. We had an Indian strap match between Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks, but no, it's this 12-man tag. And then so he says it's a 12-man tag, the most anticipated match in Collision history. And Brian Keith, the
MVP, right here.
That's a dozen motherfuckers.
I died.
The learning tree always says, I'm waiting. I've got my fingers ready to write down whatever he's going to say. Size matters. That's it. And well put, Redwood. And yes, it does indeed. We all know about our opponents. We've shown that Cope is a dope and that Harwood is no good.
All right, now stop. Brian Keith, once again.
Yeah. He said,
so what do you have for cash?
What you got for cash? And then Jericho is like, I don't think he was expecting that.
And this entire sketch comes to a screeching halt.
Because he's like, oh, shit. And he looks at Big Bill, and Big Bill's like, I got nothing. And then Jericho's like,
there's this thing in because I recognize this so much. In improv when you're doing that, where it's like, here, read this. And you're like, you mother effer. I don't have you just have to make up something. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, like he was totally off guard. So he comes up with
that question.
Wheeler is a kneeler. And then he explains it, which is usually a clue that's not a great joke.
Yeah,
and then Big Bill saves it by saying, sick burn, LT.
Sick burn, LT.
I'm like, LT? Oh, yeah, learning tree. And then he says, and then Jericho gets serious. He says, how can Mox and Jericho get along? Well, I guarantee you we'll be on the same page, right? Thanks, guys. And they leave. And this was...
And they overextend the wave.
Yeah.
Like this is like one of those WWE promos where it keeps the camera running for like 30 seconds longer than it should.
But on purpose, yeah. And I think they went longer than a minute too, but that's okay.
Hello, Bluegrass State was a great troll too, calling back to that this show was originally supposed to be in Kentucky.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah,
Kentucky.
Well, I was wondering too because I know it's Greater Cincinnati, so they might have actually been in Kentucky. I'm not positive because aren't they on the?
No, they were in Cincinnati. They were in Cincinnati proper.
Okay, all right. Then we still don't get Hurt Syndicate. we get Justin Roberts say, "Show some love for Ricochet." And the fans did not show much love for young Mr. O'Shea. He comes out, he's in just a great suit. And once again, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to be teaming with Lashley and Benjamin. He's going to be in the Hurt Syndicate. MVP's not wrestling. This is what I thought in my head. So he goes down to the ring and he's trying to talk, but they're giving him Don Callis, Dominic Mysterio, Nia Jax, Heat. And they're chanting "Whose house, Swerve's house," and he's trying to talk. I noticed here he's got the gold scissors in his lapel thing in his jacket. And then he's like, finally gets some words and he goes, "That's okay. Is this how it's going to be?" He says, "Well, a picture's worth 1,000 words." And he points to the Contron, and it's Swerve all bloodied up. So, of course, Swerve's music hits. And Ricochet's getting ready. He's waiting. He's staring at the ramp. Meanwhile, someone's coming through the crowd. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Swerve coming through the crowd. Nope. It's Nana. And Nana's got a chair. And Nana hits Ricochet in the back. And I'm expecting, okay, Ricochet's just going to no-sell him and beat this fool down. Nope. He sells it like it was Bobby Lashley that hit him with the chair. And then Nana starts to dance. And then Swerve slowly makes his way down to the ring, and he's got a chain. And he goes after Ricochet. Ricochet bails. Took off through the crowd. Swerve chased him. Ricochet grabs a security guard, throws him into Swerve, takes off out the door into the snow, and Swerve follows him, and he kind of has a look, and he's like, "I'm not going out in the snow." Shuts the door, and that's that. And meanwhile, like, they're making fun of Ricochet because now he's going to be cold. That was it.
Yeah. Number one, the Chiron, or at least the little graphic of Ricochet with the bloody head, was ridiculous every time they showed Ricochet in terms of when they were plugging him for coming up in the future. I have a strong feeling that this was they planned something that didn't exist. Because if you recall, before he's now billed from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, I haven't been paying attention.
But before that, he was billed from Paducah, Kentucky.
Oh, so this was supposed to be in Kentucky, right? Okay.
I think they thought he was going to get hometown cheers.
Oh.
And this is also just a little too close to how the New Day is playing their heel turn. Like, we were told by somebody that this character was a combination of the main character from Banshee and Michael Douglas from Falling Down.
I didn't get the first one because I haven't seen Banshee. But
I haven't seen Banshee either. I don't want to see Banshee, but I know Falling Down.
So he's supposed to be a guy who basically just been pushed over the edge.
Yeah, a little bit. But he was, I don't know if he was trying to play that here, but it felt like he probably should have. In terms of, oh, wait, I'm the bad guy kind of a thing, just kind of looking around. I don't think he should have ever said a word.
Yeah.
It probably would have gone on better. There was a lot of not holding on to your bit in this bit. And that was the problem here. He needed to pick a character trait and go with it.
Getting laid out by Nana makes him look like a geek, which I guess he is. I mean, he's, I've heard geekachet.
Geekachet.
Yeah. Which, it's fine, whatever. What I will say,
why are they doing show some love for Ricochet when he's an obvious heel and he's not playing it up? That's what I don't get.
Because it was ironic. Like, I don't think Justin Roberts was expecting it. Shows some love for Ricochet. That's going to be what they say every time now. And as soon as you say that, people are going to boo. Like, it's just the way it is.
Okay, no, and that's great.
Yeah.
But Ricochet should be basking in the boos.
Yes, yeah.
Instead of looking confused by it.
Maybe even pretending like he's getting
3
cheered.
weeks ago.
Maybe even pretending like he's getting cheered.
I'm fine with that too.
Thank you.
No selling.
You love me. Yeah.
The problem is he's treating it as if he was expected to get a hero's welcome when he's been a heel for 3 weeks.
Yeah. What I will say that I loved about this, immediately after this airs, they put up a graphic. On sale this Friday, Dynamite in Atlanta on February 5th, and they announced a match, Ricochet and Swerve Strickland. I damn near fell off my chair. Like, I was like, What? You announced an on sale date and a match, and you booked an angle for the match
at center stage.
What the hell? Like
it's planning. It's baby
yes,
steps. Everybody,
yes, and
hey, we're doing the bare minimum.
This is a big match, like by AEW standards. Like this is something that they've been building for like a good month already, and good for them. Like I was very surprised, and they'll probably sell some tickets. So good for them. I'm looking forward to that match. Then we got a CEO video package, and this was good too.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Mercedes Moné, she's doing a whirlwind media tour. First, we got to make some money. So she's on the Sherry talk show, which I wouldn't be caught dead watching, but it looked like it was a big deal.
It's not your demographic, Paul.
No, I know. Then they went shopping for jewelry. Then she was training, and they showed her with her 4 belts. And then she says, whoever wants to jump on the money train next, let's go. And it was great. It was like a minute and a half maybe, and made her look like the biggest star in the world. It was awesome.
I think it's good for outreach. I think it's good for her and her branding. I think it's good for AEW. And the video itself, it's first we make money, then we spend money. I think that's just awesome in terms of professional wrestling. And I also do like she is very consistent every time she's in New York City that she goes and then trains with Amazing Red.
Yeah,
at his school. I am a huge fan of Mercedes and just how she
she's a huge fan of wrestling. You can tell.
Yes, I think, and look, the Sherry show ain't our thing, but if you can get a couple people watching her, that's all you need.
And Sherry talked about AEW, like she mentioned those letters, like
mentioned it like it was a big deal.
Yeah,
she's doing more media than half the guys who are quote unquote stars in that company.
She's probably doing more media than everybody put together, honestly. Other than the local guys that do local stuff. Like I understand somebody mentioned in the chat that Jon Moxley was out doing a lot of local media.
She's protecting her brand, and I like that. Yeah. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, she wants to be a big star when she goes back. Wow. I didn't say that. So now we finally got Hurt Syndicate versus Mark Briscoe and Private Party. Excalibur opens the match by lying to us and telling us that it's MVP's first in-ring match in 26 months. I just watched him last week on a Bloodsport match, which is surprising because I only watch AEW and WWE apparently. But he wrestled Josh Barnett just over a month ago in Bloodsport. So, and he was good. So
see, Paul watches more than just AEW and WWE. You dopes in the voices of wrestling.
I watched a Progress show today before Dynamite.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, that's okay. But it's funny because earlier this week I heard Michael Cole talking about TNA, talking about Lucha Underground, Triple A, King of Kings, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
New Japan, I'm pretty sure they mentioned.
Sure.
They wouldn't. And here Excalibur won't talk about GCW. How the tables have turned. So anyways, MVP starts the match and he worked like almost the whole match and he looked good. That's good. It's good in one sense.
I liked Taz's explanation.
What was I might have missed it. What was it?
He's in there and it's like, and they say, going into our first break, it looks like MVP isn't making a tag. He's just going in there and Taz goes, well, he's trying to get the rust off.
Okay.
He's doing it for himself. He's not trying to show up anybody. He's just trying to get his own, maybe he's just trying to get his own rust off. And it's like, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
It does kind of make Mark Briscoe look like a bit of a chump, but he and Briscoe worked almost the whole match for his team. Private Party barely got in there. When they did, the fans actually chanted for them, which surprised me.
Private Party were given stage directions to act like they were in a pay-per-view match on the apron. And it got annoying.
What do you mean?
With the amount of turnbuckle slapping.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and going back and forth and gesticulating and stuff at the wrong time, and just like
no, and it was just like this match was basically nothing. I mean, it was almost a squash.
I didn't understand this match. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I understand this match. I'll tell you what this match is. They're basically telling you, like, your next tag team champions are Lashley and Benjamin.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
okay,
like,
that's all I want to know. Because
yeah,
I just thought they looked way too strong at the time. Maybe
I don't think we're supposed to think. And the funny thing is, the announcers are basically saying, like, they're almost treating it like Private Party would be the favorites because they're so experienced and they've been they're champions and they've probably got the most wins in AEW history or something. And meanwhile, these guys are just going to mow through them.
I mean,
And
Shelton had a look on his face after this match, which was like, all right, what was that type of a thing? I'm like, I kind of agree, but I did like that it ended on a simple thrust kick.
Yeah. It was basically Lashley hit Zay with a spear, MVP with a high knee to Briscoe outside the ring, so he couldn't break up the pin. Shelton hit a release German on Quen, and then he hit a super kick and got the clean pin. And no count out, no teases, no nothing, just hit, boom, boom, done. Fine match. I mean, it's fine.
Now, what this needs to be, I don't want to see the tag team match immediately. I want to see promos about how easy it was to beat them. And then I'll be more interested.
And then maybe you get Private Party wants a match with maybe a Cage and Archer.
Cage and Archer would be a good one, yeah.
And then they get a win over Cage and Archer, and then now there's a little bit of doubt.
Yeah. Hopefully they use this, but
meanwhile, Shelton and Bobby are just killing everybody. Like, put them up against Top Flight next week and just beat the shit out of them. And then and then the Dark Order, they can go next the
Dark
week after.
Order, maybe Leo and Andretti, maybe
Infantry.
They already beat them.
I would,
I'd even say the Outrunners possibly. I love the Outrunners.
Oh, but I was arguing with somebody about the Outrunners because I love that tag team match they had with Claudio and Wheeler on Saturday. And like I said, like in terms of actual work, like they might be my favorite tag team to watch right now. Like they're just old school Southern, the hot tag that Turbo Floyd does, and then like the selling and getting the fans into it. Like it's just great. And he's like, oh, his punches look like shit. I don't care that his punches look like shit. I don't care that he doesn't do dives off the top. Like they wrestle like a team.
How about this? How about Shelton and Bobby beat FTR?
There you go. Yeah. Maybe they have a number one contenders match. Yeah. That would be good. So that happened. Then they said next week on Dynamite, Cope versus Pac in a battle of two of the worst names in wrestling. And we got a video package. This was nice. They showed highlights from the press conference. I assume from the last pay-per-view. Cash Wheeler said that, Cope said that FTR helped him train. Cash said they all love each other. Dax said they love pro wrestling, and we love God, our family, and pro wrestling in that order. And we're all best friends. And that was nice. Nice little babyface, little 30-second video package. It's cool. Mm-hmm. 3 week. This is where they announced Swerve versus Ricochet 3 weeks from tonight. Out comes Jeff Jarrett, and believe it or not, I wrote down all this. So,
oh my God! All right, I'll leave for 10 minutes. You go do your thing.
He says, "What's up, Cincinnati? Last few weeks have sure been humbling." And then out comes FGF. And he says, "Humbling? Jeff Jarrett, you don't know the definition of the word. I gave you the opportunity of a lifetime, bud. You had the audacity to turn me down." Jeff says, "Don't even get me started. You're too lazy to enter the gauntlet. Don't you ever interrupt me." He says, "Hold on. Lost my cool. Let's get real, Jeffrey. I'm MJF. If I retire tomorrow, I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm a living legend. You walk around like you're one too, and these dumb schmucks in Cincinnati are snowed. Here's the real legacy of the last outlaw. Emphasis on last. Jeff Jarrett is the last thing you see before your favorite wrestling company dies." So he's like David Krumholtz, Ted McGinley. Like, this is what he's saying. Double J, this whole one more year winning my Triple B, you're the definition of the pro wrestling Grim Reaper. The fans are on his case. He said, "I'm talking, guys. Shut up. When I think of your career, it makes me want to drink. I know you're a raging alcoholic." Oh, I'm sorry. I mean a recovering alcoholic. "I just had a great idea, guys. How about for the health of this company and for you, I send your ass packing back to rehab where you belong. And Jeff, do me a favor. Make sure that sexy MILF of a wife sticks around. I'm a big fan of Karen, but I'm not a monster. When I'm through with her, I'll ship her back to Tennessee, and you'll know what a generational talent and an Olympic gold medalist balls taste like." And Jeff Jarrett, like, he's literally just smiling and laughing through every one of these insults. And then Jeff says, "Everything you just said was crude, stupid, and has all been said 1,000 times. So let's get to the heart of the matter. I know the best years of my career behind me, but last summer when I entered the Owen Hart Cup, the AEW fan base awakened a passion in me. They awakened a desire I still didn't know I had. Max, I'm going to do everything in my power to keep that passion going, this fuel going. It'll put me right on track to become the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. But Max, let's get back to your shtick. You poke fun at me, you got your singers, and you're trying to hurt my feelings. Max, I was you before you were you. Everything you can do, everything that you can say that you can do, I've done it before you, and I did it better than you. And he paused on that one because it's his catchphrase. Max, hold one before we went out of shape. You confused me. He says, I don't know if you're a dumbass or just a scumbag, but knowing where you're from, maybe it's all the above. And there are days when I feel very sorry for you. And fans are chanting, he's our scumbag. Jeff says, yeah, he is our scumbag. But here's his family history. Max, it's tough being raised by a call girl mother, isn't it? You know, your ambulance chasing attorney of an old man. Being reared by these two is tough. But when your dad knocked your mom up, she still made him pay for that shit, didn't he? We all marry our mommies. Your old lady is nothing but a Canadian call girl. What a rotten baby face he is. So this one final thing, this very ring, this night that you were tearing down the house with Will Ospreay, you were doing your version of 60 minutes through. Well, your old lady was doing her own version of 60 minutes through with about 10 different wrestlers in the parking lot. You need me because you're drowning in your old shit. You may be lazy and an entitled prick, but you're also a scared little boy. Scared to enter the gauntlet. Scared your best years are behind you at 28. You're scared of becoming a one-hit wonder. And the fans picked up on that and started chanting one-hit wonder. So MJF says, no, I'm nothing like you. I didn't need my daddy to make me a top guy. I didn't have to start my own company. MJF made MJF. We saw in the past what happens when you're king of the mountain. What happens when I am? MJF is the only man to thank for the biggest pro wrestling show of all time. Record pay-per-views, record ticket sales, record TV ratings. I was the best in the world, and then I got screwed out of my championship, out of my name, my legacy, my reputation. The same people who put me on a pedestal have taken me out from underneath and treated me like nothing. I don't want to win the world championship. I need to win it so I can shove it down each and every one of their throats. But instead, I got to wait in line for Jeff Jarrett? Hold on, Jeff. These people aren't very bright, okay? With all due respect, no one in wrestling has ever given a single solitary shit about you. But you know what really pisses me off, slapnuts? The fact that just because you were best friends with Owen Hart, you think you're due a grand finale. You might have all these schmucks convinced. During the Owen Cup, I saw right through your carny ass. A leech riding the coattails of your deceased friend. Oh, did I strike a chord with you? I thought you were the last outlaw, Jeff, but you didn't like it when I talked about your old pal Owen, did you? And then that was too much. You can talk about his wife, you can talk about his family, but don't bring up Owen. Jeff attacks him, security breaks it up, and that was that. They went there in a few places here.
They went too far there too, to be honest. I was laughing at MJF leaking like Rudy Giuliani up there too with the hair dye. Look, we have a rule here in wrestling. If I go to the average fan and ask who's he talking about and you don't know, you're failing.
And there was a lot of that.
And there's far too much fourth wall breaking in this promo about Alicia Tout, who nobody knows MJF is dating for the most part, and some people think they've broken up.
Kurt Angle, people probably knew.
Kurt Angle, people knew, but this was monologuing. This wasn't cutting promos on each other and then getting mad and going at it. This needed to be cut in half, and it needs somebody to react. This was.
Oh, Jarrett just stood there and no-sold everything until Owen.
Allow me to bring up things that annoy people on my audio, but I get this from being an acting teacher. If you're saying words and that other person isn't responding, then this scene is failing.
MJF actually responded to Jeff, which was good.
That was fine, and I liked that, and I understood the choice to no sell by Jeff, because it was just one of those things where it's what he should have said was, I've heard it from thousands of wrestling fans online all my life, Max. That's not going to affect me. Try something else.
And then he did.
And well, but that's what he should have said. And
Yeah,
then the next thing Max says hits him to the core. And then
and Jeff bringing up like his call girl mother, like like now I'm wondering, is that true? Like, like it's a babyface saying
and again, babyface, and I understand. Look, I don't mind babyfaces having a little bit of an edge and a little bit of snark to him, and I don't mind Jeff Jarrett being an outlaw and knowing the tricks of being a heel. I just thought this was two guys talking past each other, saying far too much, and then finally getting into the action late. This needed to be cut in half.
When he brought up that the match with Will Ospreay, I thought he was gonna go. I thought he was gonna say, and then instead of instead of enjoying the fruits of your labor, you have to break up a fight between your girlfriend and Britt Baker. Something like I thought that's where he was going to go. But
I thought maybe the two, but there's too much inside baseball in this thing. Yeah. There's too much.
And now it's like, like you're right. Like now I'm wondering, like there's no way they're talking about Alicia like that.
Yeah, this is the first time I looked at Jarrett with the lights on him and with the freckles coming in and everything, and he looked old.
He did.
To me.
I mean, he's got some hair dye and he's trying to look younger, but yeah. And then like, okay, they're talking, and I'm sure a lot of people like this, and I like parts of it.
I like Jeff Jarrett. I just didn't like this.
Yeah.
And I like MJF too a lot.
The match should be all right. Like, it'll be a good old school match, and Jeff Jarrett will get his hope spots. And
like what I want is MJF to come out and say, "You're old, retire, get out. You almost killed two other companies. Come to work here. You start working as a wrestler, trying to find your way back into another world title shot. Stop it. This is my company. I'm young. Get out of the way. Boom.
Get out of the way, old man." Yeah. So when the security broke it up, I should point out, Karen tried to pull Jeff off, and then MJF grabbed Karen from behind in a headlock, and then he bailed.
Liked this.
Yeah, that was good. Just showing ass.
Good old school heat.
Yeah. And I almost feel like Karen's going to turn on him.
Although you'd get at least one good promo out of it.
From Karen?
From MJF. Videotaped or whatever at MJF's big old palatial estate or whatever.
Oh yeah, and then you just have her pop up from between his legs.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but okay.
Yeah. They put a graphic up for Collision. We're gonna get a Texas death match on Saturday. Hangman Page and Christopher Daniels. Speaking of old men. Excalibur told us, if you don't know why they're having the Texas death match, check out the replay of Collision on Max. Hey, smart promoting there.
It is, but if I don't know why they're having the match, I want to know why Christopher Daniels is an active competitor on this roster.
Go check out the replay of Collision on Max, and you'll find out.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't care, you probably aren't watching this weekend anyways.
Correct.
Yeah, well, there you go. And we're also going to get Kazuchika Okada and Tomohiro Ishii for the Continental title. And they showed a video package of their history. Yeah, they got a long history in Chaos together, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. Jeremy, if you're listening, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you are correct on that. I know that. Because Toru Yano is also part of Chaos.
He is. I'd like to see Toru Yano against MJF. Okay. Yeah, he does. Next we got Christian Cage and Hook, and this was Hook attacked him. I don't even.
This was bad.
Yeah, this wasn't good,
and it made Christian Cage weak, and he shouldn't be. He's the guy who has that contract in the ready.
Yeah, speaking of people lined up for the world title match. Yeah, this was just, Hook just beat him up, and Christian, would use his dirty tricks to get behind him. At one point, Christian hit him with 3 straight frog splashes, and then Hook just kicked out. And then Christian hit a spear, Hook kicked out at 1. And then at that point, I thought, well, he's probably losing. And then he came back with clotheslines, judo throw, Northern Lights suplex. This went on a long time. Then body shot from Christian during the kick out. Hook went for red rum. Christian pushed out from the ropes. Then Hook was laying in these weak-ass forearms. Christian gouged his eyes, posted him. Nick and Kip were about to double-team Hook, but Shibata broke it up. Then Christian hit they called it a kill switch on the floor, but I think it was like a DDT or something. And then Christian went for kill switch, and Excalibur even pointed out that, oh, this is actually kill switch. So he pointed out his own mistake. Then Hook jumped on his back, hooked in the red rim, and Kip and Nick ran in for the DQ and mercifully ended that. Then Taz is looking on, crowd's chanting for him. They're doing a 3-on-1, and I actually thought he was gonna jump in because he got his knee surgery and everything, but nope. Samoa Joe's music hits, and he makes a save. Crowd's going nuts. The best spot ever. Nick Wayne does a corner splash to Joe. Joe just walks out of the way, and Nick goes crashing into Kip Sabian. It was so awesome. I miss Joe. And
Joe is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I agree with Curryhead's comment here in that they missed the entrance on camera.
Yes, they did. But I knew the music.
And also, Joe is too good for this feud. I'm sorry. Let me ask you something. When Taz decides to finally get tired of watching his son struggle because he's in the same feud basically that he's been in for the last 3 years, and he sends him to NXT, do you think he'll get to keep the Hook name?
Do you think it matters?
I don't know. I'm watching this. I'm like, if I'm Taz and I'm trying to shepherd my son through a wrestling career, and he's still fighting the Kip Sabians and the Nick Waynes and maybe the Jungle Boy here and there.
Nick Wayne's another one.
Yeah.
Like
Nick Wayne's gonna be 35, and he's still gonna be like part of this Christian Cage stable.
Christian
probably.
will be 60, still walking around with that contract.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next AEW World Champion.
Building new stars, AEW.
Well, they built Penta.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was not great, but yeah, the baby faces cleared house. Shibata hit a penalty kick.
You're gonna eat your words when Penta and Tamatonga are strutting for 2 minutes during the Royal Rumble this year.
And fans will be going Zero Miedo.
Yeah.
Shibata hit a PK on Kip, and Christian and Mama Wayne bailed up the ramp. Christian still got his contract. They showed a video package from last week's. This was both good and also a mess. So try to follow me. They showed this Casino Gauntlet. Roddy Strong says he's not done with Jay White. Then Jay White says, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Wheeler Yuta, you stopped me. You wanted my focus. Well, you got it. Then Adam Cole says it was the best of the best in this Casino Gauntlet last week. And he starts naming off names, and he gets to Daniel Garcia. Kyle O'Reilly looks at him and he says, Daniel Garcia? And then they cut to Daniel Garcia, and he says he wants to fight every single week. And then they go back to Cole, and Cole says in 2025, the Undisputed Kingdom will get their hands on some wrestling gold, and that's undisputed. And I was like, oh. So I think they're building Roderick Strong and Jay White. I think Jay White and Wheeler Yuta. And then Kyle O'Reilly and Daniel Garcia. And then Adam Cole, I don't know. I guess he's the booker.
I can't think of a match I want to see less than Kyle O'Reilly and Daniel Garcia.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's the sickos are going to love that one.
Paint drying would be bored by Kyle O'Reilly and Daniel Garcia.
You think Kyle O'Reilly's going to win the TNT title in that one? God. I don't know if you listened to last week's show, but my Stone Cold lock prediction for Grand Slam. Buddy Matthews beats Daniel Garcia for the TNT title on that show.
Oh, dear God.
What? You don't like that? In Australia? Come on.
I'm fine with it. It's true.
You can bring it home, and him and Mommy can... Never mind.
We can watch him try and
picturing Xavier Woods and Saraya.
Cut a promo once, and then they never give him promo time again, but we can talk about how great his work rate is.
I hope somebody edits out that last line that you didn't hear. I'm
trying to talk over your terrible pervy stuff.
All right. Renee was with Jeff Jarrett, and she says, MJF got under your skin. Where do you go from here? And I should have known, because Renee lately has been kind of not in the best moods in a lot of these promos. And she was just had a grin on her ear from ear to ear because she knew what was coming. And it was her favorite wrestler, Dustin Rhodes, interrupts. And he says, how many years have we known each other? We've driven up and down these roads, grinding. MJF doesn't know a thing about this, and you know that. He's been in this business, what, a minute? He's a disrespectful little shit, and that pisses me off. I'm 110% behind you, and I want you to fulfill this dream. Max doesn't know everything we've been through and dragged through shit, because that's what we do. Everything he could do to you, you've already been through. You're Jeff Jarrett. You're the 12-time world heavyweight champion. You're the last outlaw, and Jeff, outlaws never die. We are the very last of our kind. And Renee is like watching this promo and listening, hanging on every word, and she's fawning over like Dustin. It's crazy. We'll get
Dustin got made up for that, by the way.
Yes, he did. Well, they probably got a match on Ring of Honor or something.
Okay.
Or Collision.
The Sons of Texas.
Yeah. Sons of Sammy Guevara, you son of a bitch.
I kind of miss the old Texas Tennessee feuds. Bring one of those back between Dustin and Double J.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Like, my Vince Russo brain made me think that Dustin's going to turn on him, but there's no way that's happening.
I hope not. No, nobody wants to see that.
No. We got a super chat here. Cyclops is better than Wolverine says, ever think Adam, KO, and Roddy miss NXT sometimes? I think probably Adam does. Maybe Kyle. I don't know about Roddy.
I don't think Roddy misses it.
No. You remember what Roddy was doing in NXT? He was
Malcolm Bivens second.
Yeah, who's Malcolm Bivens? That's Stokely, right?
Yes.
Or is that? Yeah, that's Stokely, not Nana. Yeah.
You know, where's Stokely at these days, by the way?
Somebody asked that on the F4W board, and someone who would know said best to leave that one alone. So take that for whatever you want to. Yeah. And I think somebody closed the thread after that. So smart move. We don't know what's going on with Stokely, but I think I speculated on this show at one point, and I'm pretty sure that what I speculated might have been fairly close to what the actual situation is.
Okay, you can tell me off the air.
I can tell you on the air because I said it earlier. I think he doesn't play well with others. That's all.
Okay.
And and people that he was managing might have been two of the people he doesn't play well with. All right, Women's Casino Gauntlet. People have been clamoring for this. Let me expound
on that super chat answer a little bit. Ronnie and his wife are currently in the same company. I think he's fine.
I think Marina is much happier here.
Oh, I would agree with that too.
Yeah, I think Cole. To be honest, actually, I'm gonna take back what I said before. I think Cole is perfectly fine.
Cole is happy as long as he can do his streaming with video games and make some money off of that too.
And he shows up once.
All of them are happier outside of the WWE system.
Plays video games, gets on a plane, flies to wherever Dynamite is, cuts a terrible promo, gets on a plane, goes back and plays video games.
Promo. There's something to be said. Look, they were stars in NXT. Don't get me wrong. But there's something about being in a situation at a workplace where you know you can't achieve more no matter how hard you work, that will drive you so nuts that you start grumbling and being miserable there. I think that's what would have happened to these three.
Well, I actually think Adam Cole would be a pretty big star right now.
I actually think they'd all be on SmackDown in that morass of a tag division.
I think Cole would have been in high-profile Mania matches, like Triple H. Okay. Like Triple H loves Cole.
Yeah, but he would have been so damaged by Vince being there.
True. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm just talking in a fantasy world where Vince doesn't exist. But yeah, you're probably right. And he's older-ish, and he's small.
He would have been teamed if KO or Roddy were still there. He would have been teamed with one of them. They'd be doing tags against the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY.
Hey, you know what? Sign me up for Adam
Which would be
Cole.
fine.
Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly against some Motor City Machine Guns. Like,
Okay.
that sounds pretty cool. But yeah, I think he's happy where he is. Roddy maybe is. Yeah, Roddy would be so dead in WWE right now. So this women's casino gauntlet. People have been clamoring, probably me too, to be honest with you. And after seeing it, I don't think I ever need to see it again.
Well, I would have picked different women.
Do they have any?
Yeah, all the ones they didn't use.
So it was, women's casino gauntlet. Mariah May's out for commentary. She was funny on commentary. Great. So the first two entrants are Jamie Hayter and Chris Statlander. Chris beat Willow and Tony. Keep that in mind to get the number one spot in this match. So the advantage, of course, the number one is the match can end at any time. So Mariah, she's congratulates Taz for being back and asked him if he wanted to roll around a little bit. And Taz says, "I'm happily married." And she's, no, I meant in the ring. Get your mind out of the gutter. And then she says that Jamie Hayter is the best woman to come out of Britain that's not made Mariah May. And then she asked Tony Schiavone if he agrees. And Tony's like, I don't know. I got to think about that. So I think he's trying to think, is there anybody in Britain I'm going to piss off if I agree with her? And then Megan Bain comes out next. And
I actually think that might have been one of those things where let's see if Tony knows where Tony Storm is from.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're probably right. Megan Bain's out next. And this is somebody that hardcore fans have been clamoring for because she, apparently did really well in Stardom. And
GCW.
Yeah, and she's huge. And I've seen a lot of her, and she's pretty good in the ring. I'm gonna
say something, Paul, that's probably controversial.
Okay.
She was the one who looked like the most of a star or an actual professional wrestler out of all these people that they were sending out over and over again.
Yeah,
she was tan. She was in shape.
Or Willow.
No. Well, Willow's Willow. So I know I'll get into that in a second. I'm kind of doing some shade here, but I apologize. But it's one of those things where she was tan. She was in shape. She had her aura about her. She had gear that fit.
She acted like a star. And
acted like a star. Period. Yes.
Yeah.
And the problem is nobody knows who the hell she is.
Right. She came out to zero reaction. And
it's this indie person. We all should know because Tony's online too much.
Yeah. And Mariah, did her job. She said she's been in Stardom. She made quite the name for herself. They focused on her and she looked scared, which that one look from Mariah did more to put Megan Bain over than anything else in this match because she looked at her like shit. Like I can beat all these women, but I don't know about her.
I think she should have done more. She should have she should have continued with what the hell is she doing here?
She did.
She doesn't wrestle here. She said it once, but drawing on like she can't win this match because she doesn't work here.
She gets in the ring with Statlander, who is pushed as this monster that's bigger and stronger than everyone else. And she towers over Chris Statlander.
And she's more in shape than Statlander right now. She is.
Well, I've met Chris Statlander in person, and she's
tiny. We've both run into her, but I'm gonna say this: Chris Statlander is not as in shape as she used to be, and her gear didn't fit tonight.
Yeah, that's a problem. Mariah May, talking about Bain, says, "What does she eat for breakfast? Babies?" I don't know how the announcer.
Fantastic line.
Yes. So she got a near fall on Statlander. Hayter broke it up. Then Bain rolled out of the ring because they had to wait for the next entrance, which was Julia Hart. Julia saunters down to the ring. This is a match with time. She's lip syncing to
her song,
and nothing's happening. Time stands still. It was just like the whole point of this match is you want to get it over before the next person comes out. And Julia just had to do her entrance, so that was fine. So they go to break. They come back in, and Willow is next in. She's squared off with Megan Bain. Julia and Hayter are brawling outside the ring, which I liked because most of the time in these matches, people just stand around outside and do nothing, and they were actually fighting. So that was good. Stat and Willow teamed up against Megan Bain. Then they started chopping each other. And Mariah said, see, they can't get along. They're fake people. Wrestling's full of them. She hit Statlander with a pounce, and then she posed. And then she waited for the next person, and it's Tony Storm. So out of the 6 people that were the first 6, 3 of them were the people in that match last week. So losing the match didn't really affect anything. And if anything,
Wow, so it's like
helped.
the other. So it really is like the men's casino gauntlet.
Well, no, because in the men's one, they have enough men that sometimes you don't get in.
No, but 1 and
yeah.
2 were the people in the 3-way to see who'd be number 1.
No. Statlander was 1. I think who was it was Statlander. It was
Statlander,
Tony,
Willow,
and Willow. Willow was
Tony
4th. Willow was
okay.
4th.
Well, but I mean, in the men's, it was the first 2 were Jay White and Adam Page.
That's true. Yeah. So So then Tony Storm comes in. Fans are chanting she's a rookie. God. Bane dumped her out of the ring. Mariah goes on. She starts talking about Tony Storm. Says she's never met her, but she's had a great first month, so she's playing along with the joke. And meanwhile, the other announcers are just like, "Don't indulge her." Fans are chanting for Willow. Stat did a dive off the stage onto Willow and Megan Bane, so that kind of took her out. Tony Storm did a hip attack on Statlander. Then Julia tossed her out of the ring. Went back to Hayter and Julia. Couple of really, I got to take my hat off to these fans. Started chanting women's wrestling, but in a building of 1,500, it was like 3 people. Harley Cameron was next in. She went after Julia. Mariah said she'd love to wrestle her in Australia, which I liked because she's like the least credible person in this match. So it's the one person that Mariah actually wants to face. She tried to pin Julia. Hayter broke it up. Fans actually chanted. There's
a lot of feeling the wrath jokes.
Yes,
here.
I was going to say the fans were chanting "Feel the wrath," which hey, she's getting over. Then Jamie hit a hate breaker on Julia. Harley rolled her up for 2. Then she hit Harley with a hate breaker. She went for Haterade. Julia misted Harley, clotheslined her from behind, but then Tony rolled Julia up and got the pin. And this match was not good. It was a mess.
No, and they have a talented women's roster that they could have used here. I mean, look, this is the time to call in Britt as a surprise. This is the time. Maybe you put in Rosa. Maybe you put in Red Velvet or Athena. Serena Deeb. Diamante would have been fine.
Oh, Diamante would be great in a match like this.
And instead we're getting Amanada, Emi Sakura,
Athena, Mina Shirakawa.
I said Athena, yeah.
Oh,
Mina,
did you?
Yuka Sakazaki would have been fine here too.
I just
instead it was the same people. And
she was in town. She was in they were in Japan, like California on the weekend. So they're all in town.
And instead we're getting Tony Storm doing snap mirrors.
Yeah. And a roll-up pin over Julia
And
Hart.
I assume that the build-up to Australia is her remembering how to wrestle or her learning how to wrestle. And this is no buys from me.
And then she's going to come out in Australia and she's going to be Timeless Tony and the fans are going to go nuts and she's going to win the title and that's it.
We want to see the fight. And it's one of those things where I like Mariah and I like Tony, but I do not like this program at all. And I'm wondering what the hell they're doing with Jamie Hayter too.
I don't dislike Tony.
Jamie Hayter's scared of Julia Hart.
Yeah. I love Mariah. I don't care about Tony. Like that's it. I don't hate her.
I don't like this story of hers. I don't like this. She's a rookie. I don't really like the Timeless Tony character, to be honest.
No, that's it. Yeah, I like when she came out, when she first came back and she came out as the rock star Tony Storm. I was like, yes, I like this. Yeah.
No, I was excited too. And then it became, I've never been a wrestler in this company before. I just, oh God,
I want to wrestle on Rampage. She if she really wanted to commit to the bit, she should be asking for matches on Dark and Elevation. Because they don't exist, but she doesn't know that.
There's a learning tree joke in there, but I'm not going to do it. Let's go.
All right. Well, the main event was Powerhouse Hobbs and Jon Moxley. We talked about this at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I don't really have much else to say. It was, literally,
sad, man.
The one thing we didn't mention was Hobbs ripping the earring out of Jon Moxley's ear. And then they went to break. They come back, and Moxley is bleeding like a faucet.
It's a great visual, but it had no effect on the match whatsoever.
Not one bit. Like Moxley wasn't selling anything.
He didn't sell that he was bleeding. He wasn't worried that he was bleeding.
Hobbs had blood in his mouth, which I assume was Moxley's. and it looked mean, but the announcers didn't point it out.
Right.
The fans were chanting meat every time Hobbs hit anything. So it was like they didn't like dislike Hobbs, but they didn't really want him to win either. It was just kind of weird. And the match itself was just brawling. Like it was like a lower level version of like a Steve Austin title defense. You know,
I won't even go
like,
that far. I mean, yeah, a WWE brawl, I guess. But
yeah, like a Steve Austin and Farouk, you know, in like 1998. Like that's what this was. Yeah, but worse.
Kind of right.
But worse. Yeah.
Savio Vega versus Austin.
No, that would have been better than this. Like, the problem is, like, Hobbs is good in these squash matches. He looks like a star. He looks like a killer. But when he has to do a long match and do selling, and it's not really his strong suit.
This shouldn't have been that much of a match more than a fight then. Because
well, it was. I mean, it was a fight.
No, it wasn't a fight. It was Hobbs hits a move and then Moxley does his sea legs act.
Yeah.
That's not a fight to me. That's
he was cheating. Match. Like he was being a heel, but the fans were cheering him anyways.
Yes,
and he was like flipping them off, and they cheered louder. And yeah, it was weird too because he was like playing as a heel, but he came out wearing a Cincinnati sweatshirt. Like, you know, if you really wanted to be a heel, like wear your freaking Death Riders gear. You know, like I don't know. And then
so he's doing his drunken master bit.
Yeah,
kind of a thing.
Terry Funk stuff.
Like, well, yeah.
So, anyways, the end of the match was. Yeah. The end of the match was. It was funny actually. Right before the end, Excalibur points out that Jon Moxley has only had 14 singles losses in his AEW career. I'm thinking 14 is kind of a lot. You know, like if you told me like he only had 4, like, I would think, okay, you know, like, but this is like
he's only lost 20 times. Wait a second here.
It's been 5 years, so it's like he loses like 3 times a year. Maybe this is his month, you know. But no, it was. But yeah, so the end came. Shafir hit Hobbs with the briefcase, and he sold it. Mox rolled him up for 2. Mox hit a DDT. Hobbs kicked out of that. Then Mox put him in the Bulldog choke, and the ref called for the bell. Hobbs didn't even tap. So it wasn't even that he even fought off that much. Like he kicked out of after the briefcase shot, and he kicked out after the DDT. That was it. I've seen people kick out of a lot more than Hobbs did here. Then Pac, Claudio, and Wheeler, and Marina were all in. So it's 6-on-1, I think, on Hobbs. I wrote down it's 5. It was 5-on-1. I think I just mistyped. And then Hobbs started to fight them all off. And then Claudio took out his knee with a chair. Here's where I wrote down, where are all Hobbs' friends? We got that 12-man tag. He's got 5 partners. None of them are here. Then they take their time setting up his knee in the thing. And okay, they're going to break it up before he does it. Nope. They Pillmanized his knee, and then Cope's music hit. And then Cope and FTR. We didn't even see the Outrunners. I don't know. I guess they weren't booked for the show. Like, I don't know. And that was that.
Turn into a thing where Hobbs turns on Cope because he didn't save his knee.
Could be. Maybe Hobbs joins the Hurt Syndicate.
All right.
Not the worst idea in the world, right? But yeah, so I saw people saying that, oh man, Hobbs looked like a killer here. It's like,
yeah,
were you watching the same thing as me? Like, I mean, I'm not saying he looked weak, but it didn't help him.
There's a difference between looking weak or looking strong, looking like a killer and looking like a star.
Okay, here's an honest question for you.
Okay.
Is Hobbs in a better place right now on January 15th than he was after he lost it to Takeshita at the pay-per-view?
Slightly.
That was my exact answer. Slightly better. So, like 6 out of 10.
He was much stronger Saturday than he is today.
Yeah. Saturday, he was like, I would say 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
You know, and there are ways that you could have capitalized on that and built the momentum. I think they took a step backwards here.
Okay, I do too.
Yeah. Curry Head thinks he looks the same. I mean, it's close.
It's very close, but I think he's slightly better than he. I mean, look, that build for the Takeshita match was rushed.
Well, it was nothing. Like, it was literally just, I mean, most people didn't even see it because it was on Rampage.
True.
So, yeah, like it was, I think they mentioned it on the last Dynamite before the thing. So that was that. Next week, you know what's funny in all of this? I don't remember them talking about, like, they talk about matches for next week, but I don't remember them even saying where Dynamite was. I think it's in Nashville.
I think they put up the schedule of live events, but
yeah, and I always skip that stuff. So next week is Nashville, and then I think the following, I know they're in Jacksonville for that Saturday show. It's homecoming, they said. And then 2 weeks from now, I don't know where they are, but I know 3 weeks from now they're in Atlanta. Oh, Knoxville, Curryhead says. So that's next week. Oh yeah, he's from close to there, I think, right? Well, Memphis.
Yeah, Curry's gone to a couple of their shows.
Yeah, so they're Knoxville. So next week we're gonna get more Jeff Jarrett next week for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of FTR too.
Maybe Bill Dundee will come out or something.
And we got Cope versus Pac. I'm sure those Tennessee Hicks are gonna love that shit.
Well, it's one syllable, so they will.
Yeah, Cope, Pac, Cope, Pac, Pac, Cope, Pac, Cope, Cope, Pac. Oh crap! 8 hours, he says. So maybe he hasn't been there. Maybe they're gonna get Mayor Kane on the show.
Oh God.
Peach Machine. He's gonna be an extra. I don't know if he's still over there. All right, that is Dynamite. Yeah, so we'll be back for next week. I like the little graphic, not this one here, but this is fine too. But the one that they put up on the promo thing for this show with Jeff and I. If you haven't seen it, go to the YouTube channel and check it out. It'll be like the cover. It's kind of cute. Jeff, got some plugs. Oh, Maria liked Dynamite. Good for you, Maria.
I'm do. At Crap Game 13, also at Jeff Hawkins at Blueski. If you're over there, I just kind of copy and paste my tweets. I do a show called Shake Them Ropes on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. This week, the era of sports pentertainment has begun.
As he went long, don't you know?
Yes, the least best kept secret in America. Pentagon Jr. has now debuted and is fitting in quite well. And on Vader Club, an interesting pick for me because Chris has been on a Nick Bockwinkel kick. We watched Bockwinkel versus Brody from '79. In the year of our Lord 2025, we're getting a retirement this year, definitely. So I am paying homage to the final boss, Mako Satomura. So we are going to have Ayumi Kurihara and Kana, aka Asuka, versus Mako Satomura and Ayako Hamada. I've already posted a link to that on the Shake Them Ropes Twitter account, also in the Discord for Shake Them Ropes. Hope you'll join us later this weekend.
If you have Triller Plus and you're a fan of Mako Satomura, she has her last match in Germany, maybe even in all of Europe, next Saturday, not this coming week, but the following Saturday in WXW.
There's a lot of good Mako Satomura out there. If you watch her versus Io, if you watch her versus Aja Kong, if you watch her, I mean, there's
her
just
her NXT UK run.
Her NXT UK run is fantastic too. It's very underrated. The match versus Jenny is quite good.
Piper Niven, she had a great match with Piper Niven.
Kaylee Ray. There's a couple Kaylee Ray matches out there that are really good too.
Yeah, they had a nice little program.
Because Kaylee Ray will take some abuse.
For me, I've got my top 10 matches of the week that I post every week on fightgamemedia.com. The match that is probably going to win this week is probably one that not a lot of people have seen, and maybe the people that say I only watch AEW and WWE will shut up because it's from Progress, and I'll put it over, and it's on Triller Plus. Mark Haskins and Michael Oku had just a phenomenal match on December 29th at Progress 175. So check that out if you got some time. And then the main event of that show as well is a 4-way for their world championship. That was really, really good as well. It was Luke Jacobs, Leon Slater, Man Like Darius, and can't remember the other guy. Yeah, it's
4 people who have never been in my kitchen.
Yeah, and thank God for that. Maria heard the match was fantastic. I'm glad. I concur. Check it out. So for Jeff Hawkins, I've been Paul Fontaine. This has been Hawk and Font in the evening, aka the Dynamite Show. Tune in next week. Later.
I wish they would let